Hello guys, so today we are going to learn about the respiratory system. Remember to look closely, as then only can you see the small tiny alveolus. Anyways, do you know the pathway taken by oxygen and carbon dioxide through the human body? Well, don't worry, we'll tell you. So first, when you breathe in, oxygen enters through the nostrils and travels through the nasal cavity and opens into the pharynx, and then larynx, and into the trachea. From here, oxygen enters into the bronchi, which further divides into the bronchioles, and then opens into the alveoli, where the gas exchange takes place. Now, you guys can figure out the pathway taken by carbon dioxide on your own, right? Because it is just the complete opposite of the pathway taken by oxygen when you breathe out. Okay, that's about the pathway taken by the gases when you breathe in and breathe out. Now, let's look into the differences between the inspired air and expired air. In inspired air, there is 20% oxygen and 0.04% carbon dioxide, while in expired air, there is only 16% of oxygen and 4% of carbon dioxide. Also, inspired air is relatively dry and dirty when compared to expired air. Additionally, inspired air is at air temperature, while expired air is at body temperature. Well, that's quite a lot of differences, huh? Moving on, you see a 3D model of the lungs and the diaphragm. Look at it carefully while listening to get a clearer understanding. Now, I am going to tell you what actions are brought about by the different structures during inhalation and exhalation. First, I'm going to start with inhalation. During inhalation, the diaphragm contracts and flattens, which usually stays in a dome shape. Next, the external intercostal muscle contracts while the internal intercostal muscle relaxes. Thus, the rib cage moves outwards and upwards, and the volume of the thoracic cavity increases, and the pressure decreases as to allow air to fill in. During exhalation, the diaphragm relaxes and becomes dome-shaped. The external intercostal muscles relax, and the internal intercostal muscles contract. Thus, the rib cage moves inwards and downwards, and the volume of the thoracic cavity decreases and the pressure increases as to push the air out of the lungs. So guys, this is what happens in your lungs when you breathe in and out. Really fast how all of it happens, right? Okay. Next up are the functions of the different structures involved in the respiratory system, one by one. So let's start. Number 1, nasal cavity. It is lined with capillaries and cilia and warms, moistens, and filters the air entering the respiratory system. Number 2, the pharynx. Well, the pharynx is just the part which connects the nasal cavity to the trachea. Number 3, epiglottis. It is a tiny flap of connective tissue which prevents food from entering the trachea during swallowing and the air from entering the stomach when breathing in. Now, this is a very important structure. If it wasn't there, you would often choke on your food when you swallow. Number 4, larynx. The larynx is made up of cartilage and contains the vocal cords, which are 2 highly elastic folds. I guess now you already know the function of it. Anyways, it is to produce sound for communication. Number 5 is the trachea. The trachea is a hollow tube surrounded by tough, flexible C-shaped cartilage rings and are lined with cilia and mucus-secreting cells, goblet cells. The trachea allows air to pass from the pharynx into the lungs, and the cartilage rings prevent the trachea from collapsing, and it provides it with support. Number 6, lungs. Lungs are composed of bronchi, bronchioles, and alveoli. It is the main organ of the respiratory system and contains the structure which is the site of gas exchange. Number 7 is the bronchi, or the bronchus. Bronchi are also hollow tubes surrounded with C-shaped cartilage rings and are lined with cilia and mucus-secreting cells as it branches out from the trachea. It carries the air into the lungs. Number 8, bronchioles. The bronchioles branch out of bronchi. These decrease in size and carries the air into the alveoli. Number 9. The alveoli. These are clusters of tiny hollow air sacs with very high surface area, which are surrounded by a dense network of capillaries. These are the sites of gas exchange. Now, don't you think how efficiently all these structures are working together to maintain the objective of the whole respiratory system? Well, they won't if they are not kept healthy and strong, and this consequence is brought even by you yourself, from the actions and habits of your daily life.